Hello again. I wanted to talk today about intuition, and the tarot cards are all about that, so doing a reading, intuitive insight, and I thought it would be a good time to talk about that. This is the end of May right now, May 30th, and 2019, and I'm going to make a prediction here, and that's why I thought it would be a good time to talk about intuition. We do a fair every year for 15 years or so now, a festival. It's a big one. It's a three-day festival, 12-hour day, and we buy a booth. We buy an area. We put up our tent and the whole shot. We'll have about a half a dozen readers there in our booth, and it's always a good fair, and it's a good time. This is going to be our last year. We decided this year it's a lot of work, and slowing down. I don't want to be doing all that work. Putting up tents and all this stuff. And, Linda and I just looked at it and said, okay, well, let's do it one more year. One more year we'll do it. So we're going to do it again this year. And so I have a bad feeling about it. I don't feel good about it. I'm going to do it, but I just thought, there's something going on there that I just don't really feel right about. And that's intuitive, that's just a feeling. But, we're still going to do it. But I just have an uneasy feeling about it. And that's intuitive. And one of our readers that have been doing that fair with us for probably 10 years, she's a good reader. She called and she says, she said to us, she says, I got a bad feeling about this fair this year, and she didn't want to freak us out or not, but she said, I don't want to do it. I don't feel right about being there, and this year I'm going to take a pass. I don't feel right about doing it. She's going to do another fair with us later on in the year. She looks forward to that one, but this fair here, she got a gut feeling about it. She doesn't want to do it either. So that's two of us now have a feeling about this fair. So the fair it's a 4th of July fair. So it's the 4th of July is a Thursday this year. So the fair is going to be it's going to be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. And it's the 4th, 5th, and 6th of July. 12-hour days. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. So that's the 4th, 5th, and 6th. So on July 7th, Sunday, we'll know what happened. We'll see how it went. But I bring that up because I'm still going to do the fair. We're still going to do it. But just to show you, I wanted to show you an example of intuition while it's happening right now. This is not only me feeling that way, but another reader that's been with us for a long time, and she still is, and other things we're doing. But just this particular fair, she doesn't want to do it. And so that's two of us. Now that's how intuition works. There's no rational reason. We paid $500 for that booth. But before we sent it in, we gave it some careful thought, thinking, do we really want to do this? I said, yeah. So last year, let's do it. And Lynn and I both agreed. One more year doing it, and so we're going to do it. And we did it. We sent the money in, and we're going to be there. But so we'll see what happens there. So I thought I'd bring that up now, and I'm sure everything will be okay. But it's just, when you have something like that, you want to keep your eyes open for things, and you want to be careful, and see what happens. More than likely, it's just a weather thing, and there have been times when they've called the fair off halfway through it, maybe cancel the last day of it or something like that. But because of weather, tornado warnings and things like that. A lot of tornado warnings happening in this Midwest right now, so that might be it. But it's interesting to see that two people that go to this thing every year, two readers, had that feeling. And this is the end of May, so that's something that's coming up a month from now. And so I thought I'd share that with you now. And we will see what happens here. But intuition is I wanted to talk about intuition with the tarot cards. And it's there. When you experience it, you'll know it exists. And a lot of you, I'm sure, already have experienced that. You'll know it is there. And why is it there? You know, what's going on with it here? And I really believe, my feelings are, that it's just a part of the mind that we usually don't use. We use our rational side all the time, our everyday life. And intuition is a part of the mind we usually just don't bother with. We haven't developed it. We haven't learned to develop it. Our school system doesn't develop it. And our society doesn't really use it. So it's a hard thing to develop with your everyday affairs. But a card reading is using that part of the mind. When you do a card reading, and that's why it's important to know that about creative thinking techniques, which I talk about in my books. It's important to know about that, because when you see that it's a part of the mind that we're really using, that we usually don't use, and that's what a creative thinking technique is. It's forcing us to use a part of our mind we usually don't use. When you do a card reading, and card reading is an identical application to a conceptual blending technique, which is a creative thinking technique. And we're using this part of the mind, we're forcing ourselves to use that part of the mind to find ideas. This is an intuitive part of the mind. And the more you use it, the better you get at it, just like any other part of the mind. So if you're starting to read tarot cards, if you're starting out and you think, well, I just don't have it, I don't have this, I'm not good at this, you got to give yourself a chance with it. You're developing that part of the mind, and the more you read the cards, the more intuitive you're going to get, because you're using that part of the mind. I look at it as imagination is the same part of the mind as intuition, which is why children are very intuitive. They have an amazing imagination. And I can remember being a child too, and the imagination and the intuition, the insight, the visions I saw as a child, even though I've been in this business for this long and aware of it, a lot of it's overshadowed. It's not as clear as it was when I was a child, because I'm exposed to society so much, everyday life, like we all are, that it's easy to, sort of like cataracts. You get a covering over it. It's there, but when you're a child, it's just so clear. Everything is clear when you're a child. What you have going for you as you get older is you have knowledge of what it is, and you know how to use it and how to work with it. But when you're a child, it's just there. So when you're using tarot cards, you are developing your intuitive insight, your intuitive awareness, and your intuitive ability to perceive things intuitively. So the more you use these cards, the more you're going to learn that. or the more you're going to develop that, I should say. And that includes clairvoyance and other psychic awarenesses, because you're using that part of the mind. And that I say I strongly believe in that. So just use the cards. Don't worry about looking at it like I'm learning the cards like for a test or something. It's not that way of learning. It's learning to use your imagination and see things in these cards that might be different every time you do a reading. It might be the same card, but you're seeing different things in that card for this reading as you did for this reading. So it's not a matter of a cut and dried definition on a card, which is why I like my keywords, because it allows you to drift a meaning of a card in a way that will fit for this particular reading versus that reading. Same card, but keywords allow it to fit in a way, finding a meaning for that card in a way that works and becomes useful for this reading. Might be totally different for this reading over here. So I think the more you use my keywords, or just keywords by anybody that you read about, any source you have out there with it, the more you use them, the more you see how they drift. One word can mean something else to something else to something else. So intuition will happen, will develop more the more you use the tarot cards. And we'll see what happens by July 7th. My prediction. Hopefully nothing. Anyway, I wanted to share these things to you and with you, and thanks for watching. If you like what we're talking about, subscribe down below, and keep throwing cards. We'll talk soon. Bye.